Alright YouTube, today we're going to do the clutches on a CB750 SC Nighthawk 1982. It's the one with the round covers on the valve cover assembly. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put this up, lean this up and put a 2x4 under the tire so that the oil doesn't spill out of it. I'm going to end up changing oil, and you should as well, but if you don't want to change oil, this is how you do it. Okay guys, so what you're going to do is you're going to put your hand against the center and grab this with the kickstand down. You're just going to lean it back, and then you can push the 2x4 right underneath the tire. And now it's leaned at a different angle so that the oil doesn't run out of it. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to take some oil and we're putting the, I just a little 5-gallon bucket I cut off the bottom, my wife's clean. Put the clutches in it, and we're going to cover them in oil, fill it up to where it's covered in oil. There, you just want to pre-soak these with oil so that they're not dry when you first start up the engine, and you'll damage them if you don't soak them in oil. I use Rotella 10W30. You can use 10W40. It's just easier for me to find the 10W30 Rotella. Don't use synthetic. Don't use any additives. You'll fuck your clutches up. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is with a pair of pliers, I'm going to grab this clutch arm, I'm going to lift it up, and then I'll use my other hand to pull that cable out of the clutch arm. I've got racing springs in this, way too tight. Don't put the red racing springs in it. But that's how you get the cable out. Now I'm going to take a 12mm and remove this. You got to take this bolt all the way out, and then it's another like a 15 or 16, I don't remember what size that one is, and pull this whole leg off. And just a little tip, if you put a flathead screwdriver in the slot and then bang it in with a hammer, just straight into the slot, that'll help this loosen up enough to where it comes right off. Now that's actually a 17mm. Now we're going to take all these 8mm bolts all the way around this thing off. Now some of these bolts are longer and some are shorter, but if you look, you can see that this is deeper and this is shallower. So this will take the short one and this will take the long one. Okay, you want to be careful and gentle and try not to break your gasket. If you do, I'll put a link on in my description with the gasket if I can find one. If not, I've taken Yamabond or black RTV silicone. I like Yamabond better. You put it on, you get everything cleaned and dried really well, then you put a really thin, just barely covers it, coat all the way around, and then you do the same on this side, and you let it completely harden. Very thin coats, let it completely harden, like for hours. Let it harden for hours. Then you reassemble this, and it won't leak a dime. The newer motorcycles, that's actually what the Yamahas, most of their gaskets are Yamabond. Now is also a good time to clean and paint your cover if you feel like it. I'm not going to do that. Alright, now we've got 10mm we got to pop off all the way around. Now I'll just grab this and remove it gently. And then you see I've got the red springs in there. I'm going to take all of them out. I'm actually going to put in half red springs and half stock. That'll make it a little tighter than stock, but not as tight as all racing springs. Alright, remove all the rest of these. Now with a flathead and a hammer, there's one metal piece that is bent up in there. You're going to put your flathead screwdriver against it like that and hit it at the base with a hammer and bend that flat. Okay, now we're going to take this. It usually takes a special tool. You can see where I've hit it with a flathead before. I had the wrong clutches, so I wasn't able to. But you're just going to hit it in a counterclockwise motion. You can use a cold chisel. I would say a cold chisel would work better. I think that's what I actually use. I'll be getting a cold chisel and using it because you'll mess your flathead up, and the flathead might dig in too tight. And just tap. You don't have to hit hard. Just keep tapping, working your way to different sides, and keep tapping until it starts to move. And it'll eventually start moving, and once you get it loosened up, you can take it off by hand. Yeah, so a cold chisel will work way better. Now you can try to pull this flat washer out, but if you just look before you take it out, see it's got a spot that it locks into right there. You know, before you put the nut on it and it locks in there, and then you bend it. That's what holds the nut in place. We're taking that out, and we're taking this whole plate off next. It'll come right out. It just takes 2 hands. Now, so we know what order they go in, we're going to take them and lay them right on a clean rag right underneath here, one at a time. It's clutch, and then it is metal disc. I forget what they're called. Friction plate, actually. And then another clutch pad. And then this one has a spring inside of it. I forget the name of this one, but it's important. And then another clutch pad, and you just keep going all the way until you get them all out. Now that you got them all out, you're going to pull this centerpiece out and lay it on the floor as well. Now we're going to go back in the opposite order. Okay, so now we're going to need to do a clutch pad first, so I'm going to do that to the side. I'm getting a nice wet one out. We're going to set it right on there, and then we're going to put the metal disc on. Right on there. Then we're going to go, wait a minute, yeah. And then we're going to need a clutch pad again. And we're just going to line them all up. Try to keep them, as level on there as possible, and just keep going until you run out of, until you're all done. Okay, now we're going to take this piece here, and we're going to work it in to the ridges of each of these plates, one at a time, working your way all the way to the bottom. You just keep working your way down. Takes 2 hands, you hold it, and you just turn them until it clicks in, turn it until it clicks in, all the way to the bottom. I actually found flipping over helps. Alright, now we're going to take this whole piece and get it up, and we're going to work these pieces into this clutch, or actually no, we're going to flip it all, we're going to flip it over, hold on. Because it's difficult to hold this together, we're going to put this piece back in with a couple of springs. So we're just going to grab 2 springs, put them on, and we're going to put this piece in with those 2 springs just for now, and 2 bolts. Just get the threads in down to the plate itself. You don't have to tighten them at all. Don't tighten them. It'll make it a pain in the ass. Get it in, get it in. Get it tightened, not tightened, but snugged up to the plate so that it can't come free. And now we're going to put this in, and we're going to work our way down piece by piece until everything lines up. Apparently I've messed up. One of these has a bigger tooth than the other one. It won't slide down all the way in. And of course that one goes all the way up on this side. So we got to take it back apart and swap these. So make sure that that one goes in this side. Okay, so now we've got that back the right way. We just keep turning the discs until they line up and level up. It's hard to do it with one hand, but you just keep going. It keeps going in there. Come on. There. Just keep working your way down. Just hard to do with one hand, but I'm just kind of showing you. Just keep lining them up. Once you get down to about this level, the spline has to line up. So you have to turn this. I've already got the spline lined up like, oh, I guess I can't unline it now. But the spline's got to line up, so you got to turn this until the spline for this piece lines up with the center stud. Then you can continue lining these up. So don't get frustrated if it stops on you. Also, oh look, it's doing it there. There, and then the spline lines up, and then you can work your way to your last clutch and get it lined up and get it in. Again, 2 hands. Now that we've got it all up in there, we're going to remove these 2 bolts. Is this all the way? Yeah, it's all the way up in there. We're going to remove these 2 bolts and this piece back out. Now we're going to put these washers back in. The dark one goes on the bottom. Oh. And then this one goes in, lined up with that piece right there. It's hard to do again with one hand. Make sure, oh, just so make sure this little ridge is out towards you. Get it lined up, and then we're going to get the big nut back on it. See if there's, okay, so there's a flat side and a beveled side. Beveled side goes out towards you. This is just damage where I loosened it. It's not a big deal at all. You can take a socket and cut sections out to where you just got 4 nubs sticking out, and then use that as a special tool if you want to make your own special tool. You get it nice and snugged up. Here, I'll get these out of the way. And then you use the cold chisel again in clockwise motion, tighten it back up until you get the tab, you know, nice and snug, and then a tab lined up with one of these slots, so you can bend that back up to stop it from turning. And then with the flathead screwdriver, you're going to grab the tab and just bend it back up into the slot, and then maybe even take a hammer and hit it this direction just to get it right up in there really good. Now we're going to reinstall the clutch springs. I'm going every other one with the red one, the racing clutch. I was driving it with the racing clutch. Man, it will make your left hand strong as fuck. But I'm going to put half of them in, and then I'm going to get the other half stock. See, I got half the racing clutch, half the stock. There's nothing wrong with the stock one. But when it was slipping, I tried changing the clutches and I had gotten the wrong one. I put the racing ones in there and it stopped slipping, so that was nice. So I'm just going to do it 50-50. Get that line back up in, and then start all your bolts. Get them all just, you know, you're going to have to push it down a little bit and get them started and get them all snugged up to the aluminum. Now that we've got them all started, we're going to use a ratchet or an impact or whatever you got, and you're going to put it in a little at a time. Don't tighten it all the way. Go catty corner like I'm doing. And go backwards. We don't want to use the impact too much on that. We're going to use a ratchet and get them nice and decently tight. We don't want to over tighten them. You'll snap it off, or you'll snap that lobe that's inside, and you'll hate yourself once you do that. Just got to get it nice and snugged up, and then maybe an eighth of a turn more past that where you think it's kind of tight. Alright, so now we got all that tightened up. I'm not sure what the torque spec is. I know it's a 10 millimeter head, but the bolt itself is like 5 millimeters, something like that. So you can look that up and do actual torque specs if you want. It's probably pretty low, like 20 foot-pounds or something like that. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and put on our side cover. I have a good gasket on here, so I'm going to wipe it all off real dry, and I'm going to use Indian head sealer on that, and then put it in. Alright, so the Indian head's just it's shellac. And I wipe it on. This is old school stuff, man, but it works really, really well, so that's what I do. I still have the other 3 racing clutch springs and 3 stock clutch springs in here. If any of you guys want it, in the forum, just there's a Nighthawk forum for anybody that doesn't know on Facebook. Just look up Honda CB, or look up Honda Nighthawk forum. If any of you guys want it, just send me send me a message with your Instagram or whatever, so we can personal message each other, and then give me your address. Alright, so now we're going to put the bottom cover back on. When we put it on, we're going to make sure that the bottom 2 left bolts are in place when we put it on, because the muffler's in the way and it just won't let them in unless you do it this way. Okay, now we're going to reinstall the cable back on there. Again, don't over tighten these bolts. You'll snap it off and you'll hate yourself for it. These are the same, like 5 millimeters, so like 20 foot-pounds, something like that. You'll have to Google it. It'll tell you how many foot-pounds. And go catty corner each bolt. Now I've got it in there. I won't know if it's engaging or anything properly until I start playing with it. You got an adjustment down there, and you got the adjustment on top of your handles. In extreme circumstances, you can pop this off and adjust it down in there. It should be a little loose because you've probably been tightening it the whole time, so you may have to, you know, loosen it up. I'm not sure. I haven't even tested it. It's going to be with a play with it type of situation. Now we're going to reinstall our foot brake. First, we're going to put on the rear oh, what do you call it? Foot peg, and then we're going to put the foot brake on after that. All right, guys, and that's how you do the clutches. I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty much the same for any of the Honda Nighthawks, no matter what the year. It's just going to be different size clutches, different size clutch baskets, but basically the same setup. So this should work for any of the other ones. Any of the parts? Okay, yeah, that's it. All right, guys. So any of the parts that I used, any of the parts you might need, anything I can find on Amazon, I'll find the best prices and I'll list them down in the comments below. You know, gaskets, clutches. I'll see if I can find bearings or something like that, maybe even. Whatever you might need. The Indian head that I used, the oil that I used, all that'll be in the comment section down below. If this helped in any way, shape, or form, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my station. I've got all kinds of cool toys. Yeah, that's it. Peace. Oh, here's today's shirt. I don't know if you guys can see that. Peace.